back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the pant with band in front, because this is for the suit. So the two-piece that I uploaded before, so the lady is a plus size that just gave birth, so she doesn't want the waist to be with zip, so it's going to be band in front and elastic at the back. So for that, this is how I'm going to be cutting it. So the first thing I did is to mark my waistline. This is going to be my waistline. I'm going to be cutting this off because it has the label of the fabric, right? So from my waist to my sorry, I measured from her waist to her hip, which is 10 inches, her waist to her crotch, which is 12 inches, her waist to her knee, which is 21.5, and then her waist to the end of the pant, which is 39 inches, and then I added extra 2 inches to be able to fold the length of the pant. So that's basically the lines you're seeing now. So now I'll go ahead and insert her measurement. Her hip measurement is 48, divided by 4 is going to be 12, but I'm going to add about 0.5 or 0.25 inch for ease, because I don't want it, she doesn't want it too tight on her. So this same measurement, so that's going to be like 12.5 or 12.05 depending on you. If you don't add any ease to it. So I'm going to bring down that same measurement on this same line again, down here. So I'm using 0.05 for ease. I'm also going to take that measurement up to her waist. So I'm using her hip measurement, which is 48 divided by 12, sorry, divided by 4 is 12, plus extra half an inch. I'm also going to take it up here. So now I'm going to connect these 3 lines together. And as you can see, I'm cutting this on a folded fabric. The fabric is folded into 2. So how you're going to determine the width of the fold is just going to be your hip measurement divided by 4 plus like extra 3 inches or 4 inches, just to be safe. So now on my crotch line, remember this is my waistline, my hip line, and my crotch line. On my crotch line, I'm going to insert, there are 2 things you can insert here. You can go ahead and insert your thigh measurement, the uppermost part of your thigh. For her is 30.5. I can go ahead and insert that here. How you're going to insert it, if you decide to use that, is 30, that uppermost part of her thigh for me, which is 30.5 divided by 2 is going to give me 15.25. So I can go ahead and insert 15.25 here, or I can use the second method to determine what this crotch is going to be, which is this hip measurement that you put in here, which was 12.5, or whatever you're using. That's your hip measurement divided by 4 that you were using on your hip line. You're going to divide it by 4 again. So that 12, I'm going to divide it by 4, I'm going to get 3. So you see that measurement, if I check it now and insert that 3 here on my crotch line, is still the same measurement. You see the distance from this point to this point, it will still give me the same thing as putting in just my thigh measurement divided by 2. So it will still end up being just approximately the same thing. Maybe not exactly, but it will still be the same thing almost. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this part to this part. So now this is my front crotch curve now. So after that, the next thing we are going to do is to measure from this part here to this part here. So that's about 15.5. You're going to divide it by 2. So I'm going to fold my tape into 2. That's that measurement you got on your crotch line, starting from this end to this end. Divide it by 2. So for me, that's going to be about almost like 7.75 is what I have. So from this end here is where I'm going to insert it and mark 7.75 from this point here. I'll put it here, and then I'm also going to bring it up on this crotch line. This is for me to get my center line, right? I'm going to insert it here, and then I'm also going to bring it down to this point here. So now I've gotten my center line, which is also called your green line. So I've gotten it. I'm going to connect it all all the way to the end, just to have my center line now. So guys, after that, now the next thing we are going to do is come down to our knee line. Remember, waist, hip, crotch, knee line. So on the knee line, you're going to measure what around their knee is. So for me, the one I'm working with is 19 inches. So I'm going to just call it 20 inches, just because I want some ease around that knee. So that 20 divided by 2 is going to be 10. 10 divided by another 2 is going to be 5. So I'm going to place that 5 at the center, mark the beginning here, and then mark the 10 inches here. This center line is just going to help you divide each measurement, right? So you're going to divide the round the knee by 2, And then whatever you get, let's say like I got 10 inches after dividing around the knee by 2, I'll put the center of that 10 inches here, mark half of it on this side, mark half of it on this side. The same thing when I get to the ankle, I'm just going to know what the ankle is. So for me, that's 11 inches for the ankle. So what I'm going to do, that 11 inches, I'm going to divide it by 2. It's going to be what, 5 points, around 5.5. So I'm going to put half of 5.5 on this side, right? And then the other half of 5.5 on this side. So that's basically how you're going to do it. At this point now, I'm going to go ahead, connect this to the end here, connect this to the end here, connect from this part here, starting from your hip. You're going to use your curve ruler, connect it here, and then this one here, you're going to connect it to this point. So guys, as you can see, I've connected mine. On this line, I'm going to be giving it a dart in front. Don't worry about the seam allowance. I'll still add the seam allowance at the back of the pant. But here, I'm going to be inserting a dart on this particular line. So my dart is going to stop at, like, let's say 7 inches or so, somewhere here. So I'm just going to mark half an inch on this side, half an inch on this side, and blend it in. I'm going to be giving it a dart in front of the pant. So this is basically what my dart is going to be. So now I'm going to cut this out. But before you start cutting out the end of your pant, don't cut it. You're going to cut this part straight, so that, or you fold it into 2 when you're cutting it, because remember, this thing, you're still going to fold this part in. You don't want to run short of fabric when you're cutting this lower part. So I'm going to cut mine out all the way through to this part like this. So guys, as you can see, I've cut out the front panel. This is what it looks like here. I hope you guys can see it. So I folded my fabric again, placed it on the back panel. So now we are going to cut out the back panel. So you're going to move it and have more space at this edge here. It's because you're going to be extending the crotch at the back here. So what you're going to do is you're going to insert about it depends on the size. If it's for a smaller person, you can do 2.5. For a bigger person, I'm using like 3 inches for her. So I'm going to extend the crotch a little bit this way, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add, now I'm going to put in my seam allowances. So I'm going to be adding 2 inches all the way to the top. So you're going to add 2 inches like this, distance of 2 inches from where your front panel is to the back. So that's what I did here. I've extended it all the way to the top part here. So remember, this here, you're going to fold this and make sure it reaches to the end. So let me fold mine and be sure, because this is now the length of the pant. But the back panel, you're going to have more room at the top. Try to have space at the top and space at the side this way. So now, because this is where we are going to be adding all our seam allowances. So what I've done here at the back is I've placed my back panel to make sure that the edge of the pant is the same here, but then I have some room at the top here. And then the next thing is to add extra room to extend the crotch. Like I said, smaller size you can use 2.5, bigger size you might want to make it like 3 inches, just so that it's enough. So I've marked mine now, the 3 inches here, and then the next thing is to extend the back here by 2 inches, distance from your front panel away 2 inches. And then you're going to measure out what you had in front. For me, I had 3 inches here. I'm going to insert that here. This is where my front panel line stops, right? This is where the line of this front panel, but remember, you have to extend the back crotch. So I'm going to add that, whatever I got from this point of my front crotch, I'm going to insert it here. So that is 3 inches. I'm going to mark it here, and then on this line I'm going to connect it to meet up with the edge of this pant. The edge meaning where the front panel stops, right? So I'm going to connect it. So guys, I've marked that here, and now the next thing I have to do is just to mark my back crotch this way. So I'm going to connect it. So this is going to be the crotch at the back, and then also the same 2 inches, I'm going to be adding it all the way by the side here. These 2 inches I'm adding now is just my seam allowance. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do the same thing. Connect it to your crotch this way. So connect it this way. I'm going to also do it down here. So guys, that is it for the pant. So basically, I'm going to cut this out now. Following this line, cut this out, go up here, cut all the way down here, and then cut exactly what I have on this side. There's no seam allowance here, so I'm going to follow the line of my front panel and cut this part out. Coming to the back, I'll follow this extra ease that I added here all the way up to the top. My dad. So you see how I've cut out my back panel. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do is for my pocket. So I'm going to take away my back panel for now, and I already have a video on how to attach this type of pocket, but I'm going to do it again here. So all you have to do is to come in here by about 3 inches, or like 3.5 is what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to go down here by about, let's say, 5.5 inches, and then I'm going to connect the two together. This is going to be my pocket. You can do more than this, but just make sure that your hand can fit in from this point, because remember, you still take away half an inch to join this to the band of this cloth. So make sure your hand can fit in from whatever you have as your distance from here to here. So, and then the next thing I'm going to do, so you can do 3.5 by 6 length, or you can do 4 inches by 6. So now what you're going to do, before you cut this out, you're first going to place your fabric and cut out the pattern that you have here. So guys, this is what I cut out here for my pocket, for the background of this pocket. But another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just chip off this edge here this way. So I'm going to cut this out. So guys, you see what I have here? Just so that I can be able to replicate this part once I cut out this part of the pocket. So you see, I extended it. If I cut this out, I still extended it by about extra 3 inches on this side, and then extra like 4 inches at the bottom part here. So that is going to be my pocket. So now I'm going to cut this part out. So guys, you see what I did here? I just cut out the same pattern as this side outer part of my pocket, but instead this time around I cut out this opening here. I traced it out using this top part here, because this is going to be the hidden part of the pocket, because I don't want to use the fabric twice. It will be too bulky inside of it. Imagine using this fabric again, 3 layers of the same fabric. So all I have to do now is just to put this here, sew it down, and then flip it inside. Put in my pocket, but I'm going to insert a video on how to do this perfectly. So you can see I first folded the lining, sewed the lining, folded it in like I told you guys, and then after folding it in, I placed the back, that piece that we cut out that is this shape, I placed it here, pinned it down just so that it fits perfectly, and then I sewed it to hold it down here, sewed the side to hold it down here. That way I've made my pocket. So one layer of my pocket is the lining, and then the back layer is this fabric. So all I have to do now is to go ahead and put in the band for the waist. I've done it on the 2 sides, and as you can see, I've also added my dart. If you look here, you'll see my dart, and then I also joined the 2 pieces in front. That's the 2 sides of the front pant. I've joined it together, putting the dart on the 2 sides. This is the center seam, the 2 darts, and then the pocket on the side. So now all I have to do is just to go ahead and put in my waistband. So the band is going to be about 2 inches after folding, but I added about extra 1 inch so that I can be able to tuck that in, because I don't have the stay to make the band stiff. So I wanted to use the fabric as the stay. So I'm going to just take this the way it is, put this waist of the pant inside, and then sew it down as the waistband. So guys, you see the waist of my front pant is done. So now my pocket looks good now. So all I have to do is just to go ahead and close up this seam here. You see, just close up this seam so that once I close it, if you put your hand, my pocket is perfect now. So, and on the 2 sides. So for the back, I also did the same thing. You see, I also made a casing for my elastic, the same. It depends on the size of elastic you're using. You have to consider that. And then all you have to do at this point now is just to take one end of this elastic part here, join it this way to the band part here, right, and sew it down. So you're going to go ahead and sew this down, and then after that you're going to move this elastic, move it and scrunch it up to the exact waist measurement you're working with. So it depends on you, enough that will fit your waist. So once you pull it together this way, if you feel like this is okay for your waist, the band in front and this, consider that there's a band in front and the elastic at the back. So if you feel like this is okay at this point, then you can also go ahead and pin this one down, and then you're going to go ahead, sew the sides close, and then after sewing the sides all the way to the end, you put your crotch together, sew the crotch together all the way to the end, and once you finish, you fold the edge of your pant. So that's basically how you sew this pant. So that's basically how you do it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.